Hey, Chili, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hey, buddy.
good good audio.
Welcome today. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks for being a guest today on Casino Talk. I appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
my pleasure.
Thank you. Um, so, couple things. If you had one roll of the dice, your favorite number is going to show up. What number would that be?
Five is my five is my number.
Really? Why is that?
Well, I don't know. I've just been practicing, and fives and nines seem to be my two the two numbers I hit the most.
So you like to practice throwing the dice, then, right? You like
Oh
to.
yes, absolutely. I got into the dice influence a few months back. Haven't been doing it very long, but I just absolutely love practicing and tracking and keeping up with what's happening there. And yeah, five and nine is my two main numbers.
Awesome. So, where's your local casino?
My local casino, I'm up around I'm about 2 hours outside of Memphis or a little south of Memphis. So my local casino is in Tunica, Mississippi.
Oh,
Gold Strike is the one I like the best.
I drove through Tunica last summer, and I did not like Tunica at all. That was not my cup of tea. Let's just say that. The casinos are right on top of each other. I forget. I think it was Binion's and Gold Strike. It's just the drive in there. I couldn't believe how depleted the city was. I couldn't believe. I was disappointed, personally.
Yeah, Tunica's been around since about the middle '90s, and before those casinos come in, that was nothing but just farmland. And it's as you said, it's kind of depressing now because it's kind of run down. It's definitely run down from what it was when it started and the idea that they had behind what it would turn into be.
Chili, have you ever been to anywhere else? Like Atlantic City, Reno?
Yeah, actually, I have. Biloxi was around. Biloxi has some casinos, and that's in South Mississippi, down on the coast. Before Tunica did, and I visited some of those prior to Tunica, but Las Vegas, I've got familiar with Las Vegas over the past about year and a half or 2 years. So I've visited there several times, and actually where I work, I travel a lot. So we have some. I have some work out in California, so I actually go out to California at least about 3 or 4 times a year just on work. Sometimes maybe six, but yeah. So I like visiting Las Vegas. I have never been to Atlantic City.
Oh, okay. So in Biloxi, where's your favorite spot there in Biloxi?
Well, I haven't been to Biloxi in
Oh,
quite a
oh,
while,
okay.
so that was just prior to Tunica. Yeah, so
Oh,
that's been
okay.
years.
Well, I know Tunica is all the way up in the northern part of the state, and Biloxi's all the way at the bottom, southern part. And that's a long drive, I know for sure. So,
Yes, it is.
are you a Las Vegas strip person or are you a Las Vegas downtown person?
Well, I've been to both, and I really like the downtown area better than I do the Strip.
Why is that?
Well, I like the streets down on Fremont, and I just like the table games and all better down say around the Golden Nugget. Um, I like the El Cortez okay as far as blackjack and all, but the craps tables because I like the tables better than I do of the bubble craps machine. But um, the Golden Nugget is where I really like to play it mostly. But now I have been on the Strip, and those are okay too. I just kind of like downtown a little better.
Downtown's more the average guy kind of scene, lower limits. They seem more friendly, more catering to the players. On the strip, you're just another number.
Right, absolutely.
So you said the Golden Nugget's your place.
Yeah, I like the Golden Nugget as far as the craps, and then I play blackjack over at El Cortez and over at Binion's also.
So your second favorite game would be blackjack then?
Oh yeah, blackjack may be my second. Absolutely.
On the strip, it's hard to find 3-2 blackjack.
Yeah, on the strip it is, and that's more or less why I like going downtown. The Orleans has some pretty decent blackjack sometimes too, and pretty good crouch. But I like downtown out of Vegas mostly.
Hey, well, let's look in the chat. Hey, James, what's going on? John, Thunder, Skill, G Dub. Thanks, guys. Downtown looks like New Orleans. Kind of. And you got all the performers, you got craziness going on. A lot more, we'll say at a better discount. Prices are probably half of what they are on the strip for everything. Would you not say that?
Yeah, I believe so. That's probably accurate to say, and that's one thing that attracted me there more was that because I'm more of a lower bankroll type person. I don't have just a lot to go out there and spend, so I do look for the smaller, lower games.
Sure. No, I mean, nobody wants to just throw money away. If you know, if I wouldn't get a comp room, I'd have to consider downtown. Just the casinos I'm able to record at, the two on the strip there. It just makes more sense for me. I still take a trip to downtown every time, but yeah, it's definitely a different atmosphere than the strip for sure.
Oh yeah, it is. Happened. I was actually in Las Vegas on New Year's Eve. So when the clock struck midnight, when the year changed, I was actually downtown on Fremont Avenue downtown on Fremont whenever the new year come in.
So what kind
and
of?
it was
I was gonna say.
it was a party.
I was
They
gonna
was
say, what kind
partying
of
there.
scene is that?
Yeah, it was a crazy atmosphere. It was the characters were out. They had a big stage. I mean, it was live. It was everything was going on. And I actually stayed down there till probably 1:30 or 2 in the morning, and it was still going.
Wow.
It had ceased down some, but it was still for the 75% of it was still going at 2 in the morning when I left.
I was supposed to be there for St. Patty's Day, but I had to leave the day before St. Patty's Day. I was definitely going to check out Fremont on St. Patty's Day because it was going to be just craziness. And all the videos I've seen on YouTube it was dead. Just was not even. It was like a regular day downtown, and that was kind of disappointing for sure. So I know you mentioned the bubble craps. Have you ever played it?
I played a little bit of the bubble craps, but I was table games.
Oh yeah, sure. If you like to throw the dice and and you're really into that part of the game, which 90% of the people are, it's all about throwing the dice. I get it. The bubble craps is not a great option. But let's say this, Chili. Say the casino opened tomorrow. Would you go and have to wear a mask and gloves? Would you go?
Um, if it opened tomorrow and that was my only opportunity, was to wear the gloves and the mask, I probably would go. I'm just not sure that I would spend a lot of money. I would definitely, without the prior practicing or the knowledge of what's going to be going on, and I just walk in and the gloves and the mask were required, it'd probably be a deterrent. It'd probably make me want to turn around and go away. But most likely I'll go as soon as the casinos get open and just see how it's going to be, because who knows, maybe the gloves and the mask are not going to be evils. Maybe they might come out to be actually where they can help us.
I don't know. The latest thing I've seen, I saw a company in Vegas has invented these dividers that go between slot machines, and they're self-cleaning. It's kind of like in the front of an IndyCar camera, on-car camera, and it goes by. It kind of, as you see the front of the film, the front of the camera, it kind of moves the lens over because it's dirty. It's a self-cleaning barrier between slot machines. The guy invented. It's a cool little video. There's so many things being thought of right now and invented right now. I just don't know what the right thing to do is or what they're going to do. We don't know. A lot of questions still, right? These plexiglass shields or whatever they're putting up. Somebody said yesterday, I saw that they're saying that's nothing but a germ trap. Because you're going to breathe on it, then the next guy's going to breathe right on it, and then the next guy's going to breathe right on it. If they don't have somebody cleaning it after every player, it's meaningless. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it is still a lot of questions to be answered. I think there have been some talk around the middle of this month here that Vegas maybe should get going, and I think there was something about Mississippi casinos this month also. So the bubble croups and the slot machines, I could see with the barriers. Even the croups table, even the blackjack table, I could see with some type of barriers. But when it comes to the dice, I just don't know if they can put the barriers in. Not real sure about that part. And then, as you mentioned, that could just be a germ trap, especially with the chips and the dice. And I know they could cleanse the dice in between rollers, but the chips, that's lots of movement.
I could see them having 200 pairs of dice at the table. You have your own dice, you throw them, they take them, and they throw them in a sanitation bucket or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. They throw them on a different pile, right? And then they go around until they have 200 different shooters, right? 200 different shooters around the table. Then after those 200 shooters, kind of like a blackjack table, we got to now shuffle the cards, right? After those 200 pairs of dice are used, they got to desanitize them for however long they have to, or they sit in a bucket or whatever they have to do, or they throw another 200 in and they take those 200 dice and they go clean them, and then they bring them back. Something like that. That's kind of how I see it. Because if the dice really don't have to touch hands, if they're sanitized and they just dump them on the table, the shooter's the only one who's touching those dice because the stick man's not.
Right.
So, and then when that shooter sevens out, they take the dice and or the shooter does. Maybe the shooter has to go and dump them right into the sanitation bucket or however you want to do it. I don't know. But I think the dealers will have gloves on. So they'll pick them up, probably throw them in this other area, and that's what I see happening. And I also see them having dividers. If that's 3 or 4 players at each end of the table, they can put up a divider that just separates the players. Not separating you from the game, but just elbow-to-elbow dividers. That's kind of like what I see.
Yeah, and I think that's logical. The dice, I don't think they'll have near as much problem with sanitizing and changing those out as they would, say, the chips. That's going to be more of the issue is the chips swapping back and forth, unless they were to you buy in and they keep all your chips there and you just have to kind of call out what you're going to bet. That way you don't touch them. But that's I don't know if that would work or not. I mean, there's a lot of questions there about the chips because they could keep a couple of boats of dice there available, and each time the shooter changed, they could swap the dice. I don't think the dice would be a big problem to swap and clean.
Yeah, I did hear yesterday somewhere that, again, these are just rumors, and I hear things and I watch things. They said at blackjack they may have 2 dealers. One just touches cards, and another just touches chips. So I don't know what that means, what it looks like. I'm just telling you what I heard. So to me, I could see them opening half the blackjack tables than normal, less than half, right? And then they just double up on the dealers. Somebody's just dealing cards. Somebody's just working the checks.
Well, yeah, but the checks are coming in, say, out of my hand and going on the table as a bet, then I'll lose, and then say the next hand, you're there beside me and you win and you pick up something. They stack the checks like they're stacking now or have been in the past, and then those checks are not being cleansed. So that would, but I'm sure they've got it figured out.
Well, if they make you wear gloves at a table game,
and I think.
I mean, they may make you wear gloves at a table game.
Well, the gloves probably wouldn't be a problem to wear, but gloves to me probably wouldn't be a problem if I was playing a table game other than dice. And then it might not be a problem with dice.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But the checks, And with the glove, but I'm also hearing that the gloves are about like what you mentioned about the plexiglass being just germ traps. The gloves, I've heard that same type of rumor about those gloves.
Well, that's another thing. If you don't take them off properly, or you let's just say you can't get it off your hand, you put it in up by your mouth and you try to rip it off. There's people out there, you don't know if they're drinking, or you don't know what they're going to do with those gloves. They can throw those gloves somewhere or on you or somebody at you. Who knows? Nobody knows. I mean,
nobody knows.
This is crazy stuff. Hey, let's look at the chat. Hey, Huck, Kevin, John, Pat, thanks for being here, guys. James, yeah, 6 to 8 players a table would be great, huh? Less chips out there when you're throwing them. Maybe better for the dice controllers if there's less players. Less chips. Can't be worse than being on a plane, Huck said. I hear you, man. That's why I think Vegas is just going to be a local connecting state kind of deal for the first 60, 90 days when they open. I don't see people jumping on a plane. People might take a road trip. People that are within 6 hours, 7 hours will jump in the car and go. I see that happening. I just don't know if people are going to fly in from the East Coast. I don't know about that. So,
right. You're absolutely right about that. I see where it could, and then you got to think about the initial phase when it opens. So many people's itching to get back. So, the limits are supposedly going to be a little higher. And so that has to phase out before, they just open back up and start needing to get all the lower limit players back in. So at first they probably can just take the locals maybe. But yeah, I agree with you. The flights, I don't see a bunch of people just jumping on just to go to Vegas. It'll be local or road trips.
Yeah, I also read yesterday MGM, the rumor is that they're only going to open up 2 casinos at first whenever that first day is. Say they say, okay, May 25th you can open up. We'll just say that. So on May 25th, they said the MGM Grand in the Bellagio, they're going to open. But they're slowly going to open up the rest of them. They're not going to open them on day one. It's kind of what we talked about here a couple weeks ago. I said Caesar's property. They might only open up Planet Hollywood day one. The next week, then they open up, Caesar's Palace. And then they go to Bally's and then Paris. Slowly open because they're not going to just have all their workers working with no people there.
Right.
They may have to take workers from another casino, bring them in to be sanitizers and see how that works for a while. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah, and that might be for them too. They might not quite know. They might have pretty good ideas of what they want to do, but it might be a learning process for them also. So that stepping it back in gradually is probably the way they will go.
So I want to hear a craps story. When's the first time you ever went to the craps table? What happened?
Well, I can give you a craps story probably from about, I don't know, it's probably been about 15 years back. I was at the Gold Strike. It was probably actually longer than that because I used to try to go on, I like to go like on Saturday nights. So I would get to Tunica around, say, 10:30 or 11, and I usually would like to play all night and then come back maybe 9, 10, 11 on Sunday mornings. Well, I made it to the casino, and within like an hour, I walked up to a craps table, and within like an hour, I was already up like $1,500. I had like a $300 starting bankroll.
Wow.
And I was like, oh man, I didn't, I wanted to leave, but because for being up, but I was like, I didn't come for an hour. I come to stay all night. So I didn't leave. Within about 2 in the morning, about 2 hours later, I was all the way down. I was nearly about broke. I'd already lost back the $1,500 I was up, the $300 that I carried with me, and I'd already went. At that point in time, I wasn't using the ATM. I just had more money out in my car, so I went back out to the car, and I had got like the other $300, and I was almost down on that too. And now I'm sick, so now I'm like, why did I not leave? So, but that's not all the story. So maybe a couple more hours passed, and about 4, maybe 5 in the morning, I went on and left the Gold Strike, and the Horseshoe is in the same area right there as the Gold Strike. So I said, well, just gonna go on in here. Well, within about 2 hours from being at the horseshoe, I was right back up all my money and 1,500 again. So at this point in time,
Nice.
I left. I said, that was just a straight blessing. I'm getting out here this time. So that was like one of the greatest stories I probably can tell about the craps table.
Wow. So you've been in Craftsmania. Thank you so much. And so let's talk about this. Would you say you're a pass line player, don't pass player? And then what would be your absolute go-to strategy?
If I was going to be shooting, I would be using all the place bet numbers. I like to press the place bet numbers just up and up, but I like to put. There's a new strategy that I was just recently shown, and it's called the. Well, I can just tell you this: it's 160 across.
Okay.
So I do like to use the outside numbers on the place bets, and within 2 hits and maybe 3, then you've got your money back if you go ahead and regress something down. And at that point in time, then it's just press. I like to press and take and press and take. So every other hit I'm actually taking, and then every other hit I'm pressing. So, and if I'm doing good, that would be the strategy I like if I was shooting. Now, if I'm not shooting, if it's just a random thrower, I will use the dark side a lot. I like to use the DCs. I like to use the DC just to keep that 7. I mean, because that 7 is actually, no doubt, is coming. It doesn't matter how many times you press or how many times you regress, that 7 is going to wipe you out if you don't get that money down soon. So, yeah, I do like to use DCs a lot.
Nice. The 7, you got to use the don't or the DC to your advantage. At least cover yourself, and then be aggressive with some numbers. I've got some strategies coming out, some crazy ones this week that next week that I'm going to push a little bit, be aggressive, but then still have that dark side protection if the 7 comes out. I mean, it is what it is, right? So,
absolutely.
I see here, Funk says I was wrong. I said MGM and Bellagio would open first. Funk says it's New York in the Bellagio. I'm sure I was wrong. I just know that MGM had 2 casinos for sure that they were opening earlier than the others. James says he'll be just happy at his local casino and up by Cincinnati or Columbus. He doesn't have to go to Vegas. Huck says your Tunica trip is just like almost every trip he has, the big swings I guess he's talking about. Wager Me This says he lives near Tunica. Kevin says from Midnight Craps, you think they go to card craps like California, no more handling dice. The only thing is, Kevin, they still use dice in California. The outcomes of the dice have no result in gambling. They just use those cards then. I've made videos on that. Go back and watch some of those. They still use dice. For example, if I roll a 6-1, yes, it's a 7, but to the casino, to the table, it's not a 7. They take the 6th card and the 1st card. And whatever those 2 cards are, that's the roll that they're going to use. So if you rolled a 6-1, it's not a 7. It's the 6th card and the 1st card. So if the 1st card was a 2 and the 6th card was a 3, to the casino, you rolled a 5. So card craps is kind of crazy and takes you a while to get used to, and it is what it is. To me, it helps support the dark side player even more because, if you're a dice controller, say there's a great dice controller at the table, and he's on the right side of probability for him, and you're on the dark side. He might not roll a 7 for 20 rolls, but they're going to use whatever cards at random or whatever those 2 dice are. So I don't mind playing the dark side at all in California. Card craps is terrible. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I'm not a big California. I've been to some of the California casinos.
Okay, tell us.
I'm not a big player of the California craps. I don't really like that. Now I agree with you. If you're going to be on the dark side, yeah, it'll be fine because it's just about like pretty much random rolling anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, any kind of dice influencing, I just stay away from the craps table if I'm going to play the lights out in California.
So, I hopefully you've been watching The Masked Craps Player.
Oh yeah.
Is there any episode that you've liked the best so far?
Well, I've liked all of them. I believe House Money. I think that's the favorite I've had so far, just because he was down so far.
Yeah, he was.
And he was able to come all the way back. I mean, and even that night live, I was kept saying, "Take it down, take it down, take it down." And he kept pressing, and he ended up he kept taking chances and kept going. And before it was over, he was all the way back up. So yeah, so far that would be, I would have to say, my favorite episode. But all of them has been great. I have liked all of them.
Okay, Kevin's saying that there are some. He said he saw a video where they don't even use dice; they just use cards and they cut them. And Kevin, you're probably right. Chili could probably answer this better than me. I've only been to Funner and one other casino, and they still roll the dice and then they use those cards. Chili, you have any insight to this?
Well, I agree with Kevin on that, because I was in San Bernardino just this year, maybe in January. It was January, and San Bernardino, I can't think of the name of that one right there. I can't call the name of it right off my top of my mind. But yeah, that's what they had, just cards. It was just a dealer just turning cards.
Huh.
And I was like, no, I'm not fooling with that. But yeah, there are some that still do dice, but there are some that only do the cards.
And if you're a dark side player, I mean, I don't like the cards, but I should, because it's just a random roll. I mean, it's like a bubble craps. It's just a random roll, and nobody has any control over anything. So, yeah. So, let's see. So you have your own table there, Chili, or a little rig or something?
Oh yeah, I have a 6 foot by 3 foot table, just a felt that I bought, overlay that I bought straight off Amazon, maybe $15, $20, and I put it together as a practice rig. I've got some chips and a stick, and this table actually come with a pair of dice that were retired out of Bally's. So I've been using this, but I've just now recently, last week, I ordered a microfiber layout, and it's a 12 foot. So I'm just started yesterday actually working on my frame and all of my table. So pretty handy with as carpenter work, pretty handy with saws, and I have a lot of tools. So I started yesterday actually building a framework. So I'm going to just build me a table.
Wow. I wish I was handy like that. I'm not. I just have a piece of plywood on top of a table that's kind of broke because I've jumped on it a few times. And I've got some pieces of wood I've screwed together and attached the green backing and put my felt down, and that's my table. I wish I was handy. I wish I could build one, to be honest with you. That's never going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm not going to pay thousands for one, no. But what I have is just fine for me because I'm not a dice controller. I just throw them anyway, so I don't really need an official table. But if you're practicing your dice, I highly suggest you having the right distance, the right everything. Believe me. You don't want to practice. That's like me. That's like a Major League Baseball player practicing wiffle ball, and then they go to spring training, and then it just makes no sense to me. You want to practice as realistic as possible.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct about that. So, yeah, so you want to get the factors. If you're going to be influencing or practicing, you do want to get to the closest. You want to resemble everything as close as possible so that, because like you mentioned, you'd just be wasting your time if you're just like a pitcher lining up 40 feet away instead of 60 feet away and throwing 105 miles an hour. And then when he gets on the mound all the way back, he can't throw but 95 to the plate then, or 90, let's say that, because 95 he'd be in there anyway. But anyway, yeah. So that is what I'm doing with my table. As far as practicing, I have been practicing a great deal since this virus hit us and everything's been shut down. I mean, I just love the game. I've been actually going and playing craps ever since, like I mentioned earlier, probably the middle 90s or probably the later 90s when Tunica first come around. But I never knew a lot about dice influence. I never knew anything about strategies. I didn't know anything about that. I've seen people walk up to the tables, or not walk up to the tables. I walked up to tables and seen people twisting and turning on the dice and holding them and doing certain things, but I never knew what they were doing.
Sure.
Yeah, so I just really am kind of real new to all this. But I absolutely love the game. I just always thought you either have to have a great bankroll and just be lucky, or I just didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know a lot about the craps table, but I loved it. I've always loved it, and now I love it even more with the dice influencing, with the strategies, and I'm watching a lot and learning a lot right now about everything.
Well, yeah, and that's what we've been talking about the last couple months, is that people that are interested in the game have taken it to a whole new level. If they were just the average player, didn't know that much, they've searched YouTube, come across things, seen different things, they don't like, then they watch other videos, and they just, you have to have knowledge. I don't care, you don't like the dark side, I don't care, just watch, see how somebody plays the dark side so you understand the game and your options. You have a lot of options at the craps table. The more knowledge you have, the more ways you know how to play the game, the better off you'll be. I mean, again, let's go back to baseball. If you know how to hit and run, you know how to bunt, doesn't mean you're going to have to bunt, doesn't mean you have to hit and run, doesn't mean you have to steal. But if you have those things in your tool belt, you have the opportunity to use them. But if you don't understand them, you have no shot. The more information you have, the better player you will be. No doubt.
Oh yes, absolutely. For sure. Like you just mentioned, whether you use it or not, it's good to have, because there's going to be a lot of times on the table, especially the craps table, that the table's going to be choppy or the table's going to be cold. And if you have other strategies, if you have a dark side strategy, or if you implement and play a way to not let the 7 be your enemy. I mean, and that's what I think a lot of people get confused on. You're not against each other. If I'm at the table and there's 6 more people at the table and they're all light side players and I'm playing on the dome, they might get offended, but I'm not against them. I'm not hoping that they lose. It's just more probable that they are going to hit that 7. So why not use that 7 to my advantage?
Absolutely. So speaking of watching videos, how did you even come across my channel?
I've come across your channel, I think, actually, early part of this year, somehow or another in my YouTube, the Dominators video jumped up.
Okay.
And I don't know how, because I knew nothing about it. I wasn't searching anything about dice or anything. And then it come up, and then I was like, what does this mean? It was like beating Vegas or something to that effect. And I'm like, what is this about? So I watched it. It was an hour-long show. So I watched it, and then the first person I come across was Color Up.
Yeah.
After Color Up, then I just started, looking at his and looking at his videos, and then I just started finding more people and finding more. I come across yours, just from being on others' channels, and when I come across yours, then I really like the way that you just go live and you play and you do things. So I just, I've been watching you and following yours for quite a while.
Well, thank you, sir. I mean, there's plenty of us to go around. I mean, I appreciate your support.
Absolutely.
So,
I really enjoy your content. You put out a lot of good stuff, and I really enjoy the interaction you give with everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome.
So what would be your favorite sport, would you say, and what's your favorite team? Why?
Favorite sport? Philadelphia Eagles is my team.
Oh, you hear that, Chris? Nice. So what did you think of the draft?
Well, I was kind of a little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm not just, I don't think that they can't use Jalen Hurts, but I just think they needed something a whole lot, and they had an opportunity to get something better in that. I just don't see where that's going to benefit them. Now, I think
agree.
Peterson can implement something and make it work for him, but I just don't see why they did that. I mean, it's just.
I think they could have traded down and still got him and got another pick. Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't think nobody was going to get Jalen Hurts. I think if they'd have wanted to wait to the 4th or 5th round, they could have still got him.
So why are the Eagles your favorite team? You have
The
history
Eagles
there?
goes all the way back till when I was just a small kid. The movie Jaws was out, and this was the late 70s, early 80s in Philadelphia. And I can't even remember the Super Bowl that year,
80.
but I remember the
Raiders versus Eagles, 1980.
Oakland, and that's
Dick Vermeil
exactly right.
versus
1980. Ron
the
Jaworski.
Jim Plunkett and the Raiders.
Yep,
Yep.
that's it. And I don't even remember the game, but I have a brother that's 4 years older than me. So he's always taught me all my life, pick a team and stick with them. Don't be a bandwagon. Don't hop back and forth because they lose or win. So I was a big fan of Jaws, the movie. So then whenever the Super Bowl come out that night or Philadelphia, then was Ron Jaworski, was Jaws. So I've just been a Philadelphia fan all my life. I say all my life because that's before I can even remember watching the game.
Nice. Oh man, that's funny. I was not expecting you to say that. You kind of threw me off with that one for sure. So you have
Oh,
any
yeah.
hobbies, Chili?
Would you say that again?
Hobbies?
Yeah, actually, my job where I work is we in manufacturing. So in this area, it's a lot of furniture manufacturing. That's what goes on here. So that's pretty much been my career, most of my life. But also in a few of my years, I've done a lot of carpenter work. So just building things to this kind of stuff. And then, of course, any kind of sports. Just an avid sports fan. Any kind of sports. Baseball, football, anything, any kind of sports that's on. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much, like I said, just I'm an outdoors person. I like going outside and working in the yard, working on projects, just doing stuff outside and being outside, construction, anything like that.
Well, I appreciate you joining us today, Chili.
Yeah, absolutely, my pleasure. I'm
awesome.
glad to.
This whole idea was just to get people to get to know everybody that's in the chat all the time, get to know people that are in Craftsmania, that support my channel. That way you guys get to know each other a little bit better, we get a little background on each other. Tomorrow, our guest is Wayne. Monday, we're going to reschedule for Ellen. Next weekend, I've got Mr. E and Josh. And the following weekend, I got Ozarks and we got Huck. So I'm not quite sure what else is going to go on after Monday. I still have up in the air. I'll see what's going on. Tonight, we have premiere of The Masked Crafts Player again at 10 p.m. Eastern, another episode. And then tonight at 11:30, we're going to do the drawing for Craftsmania 2 Champion. So, Craftsmania 2, Chili, you're in there. You got a drawing.
Yeah,
you're in there.
great.
Rob S. has 4 drawing tickets. Chris B., Craft Strategies Live. Myself, Josh, Genevieve, Mr. E, Ozarks, and RJ. So we're going to do that drawing tonight at 11:30 Eastern. And then Sunday night, we're going to start with the new strategy. Right now, the community poll, it says it's the Texas Teeter-Totter. We'll see if that changes by tomorrow night. And whatever poll